Hi, my name is Ramona Dutton. Welcome to Transition Management. The objectives of this training are 1, to understand the difference between change and transition, and 2, be able to identify the 3 stages or phases of transition: loss, neutral zone, and the new beginning. The audience for this training is going to be managers who have employees that they supervise or are department heads, although I do believe the training can be modified for all levels of employees as the topic is relevant to everyone. For my assessment, I used my workplace as a framework for this training. I chose this topic because I have experienced a lot of change in my place of work. Changes happened and people felt significant loss that wasn't addressed or even acknowledged by our president. If we had done this sort of training, we could have better handled the loss of our executive director. So that was the idea behind why I chose this topic. I do believe transition management is applicable for all areas of life, though. People experience significant changes in their personal lives. If we are able to recognize the phases of transition that we are experiencing, I believe this would help us all manage the transition better. So, to cover a few of the slides, let's go to the beginning. So, transition management. The change has happened. Now what? The learning objectives for today are 1, to understand the difference between change and transition. Many of us believe that these are the same thing, but they are not. Transition often happens internally with your mind, your emotions, how you process the change. The change is an event. Second learning objective, identify the 3 phases of transition management, which we will get into later. But before we begin, here is some food for thought. The next 2 slides are going to be kind of food for thought. So just a discussion for the group to kind of have. So I would facilitate this discussion, and first with this slide that says, when you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And some questions that I would throw out there to the audience and have people kind of interact with me is these 3 questions. What does this mean, first of all? What does this look like? And what are some of the emotions related to doing something new? Just to kind of have people start thinking about the emotions in the process of doing something new. So, and something that they've never done before, that it could, I'm hoping to hear responses like, well, that's, kind of scary or intimidating, or, I'm hesitant, I'm apprehensive to do that, something, or, excitement, enthusiasm about the change. This 4th slide I would then move on to is continuing discussion, and with another quote. The key to change is to let go of fear. How many people believe this is true? Why or why not? From this, I just kind of hope to have more just discussion, probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes of just discussion, and kind of get people thinking about things, thinking about the topic, how they, initially can relate to the topic. And then I would actually then jump right into the change versus transition, the topic at hand. Change is something that happens to people, even if they don't agree with it. Transition, on the other hand, is internal. It's what happens in people's minds as they go through change. Change can happen very quickly, while transition usually occurs more slowly. That's from mindtools.com, great website. So change is external. It's something that's happening to you. It's the event, whereas transition is the internal process of the change. It's the transition in the mind with the emotions, um, getting used to something. That's transition. So, um, continuing on. Scenario, the change. This is just to continue kind of. Um, Here's a scenario to start out and have people kind of now interact with this kind of idea of change and transition. Just giving people an example first to connect to this theory, I guess. Um, the change. A workplace of 20 people lost their executive director after 5 years in that role. The company is 10 years old. The executive director was loved, so this was a shock to everyone. As a group activity, gather into groups of 3 or 4 and come up with ideas of how you, as the management, are going to respond to this kind of change. Um, what actions will you take, if anything? What do you think the employees are feeling? What steps do you implement to move people forward out of this new change? So even before we get into the 3 phases of transition, I want you guys to just think about, put yourselves into the shoes of the employees and figure out how they're feeling, and then step into the management role, and come up with ideas of how you would respond. So I want this training to be very interactive and to have people kind of be able to relate to the topic and have it be applicable to their lives. So that's kind of where I was going with this transition management training. So, yep, that's all I've got for now, and just want to thank you, and I hope you do enjoy the rest of my slides.